There are people that are actors on some show or whatever that have less people who know who they are than some big YouTuber.
Growing a social media following is a very difficult task. Being the oldest of three and all of us being quite close, I think I took on the role of being a little bit of a parent quite early on. I really want to find love. Yeah. Bullshit, shut up.
I agree.
Like, I like a pretty boy, which is quite embarrassing. But I would say I'm probably more attracted to personality than I am looks.
There's a difference between what you like and what you're attracted to.
Now I'm at a point where, you know, even in the time that I was single and have been, like, it's just I'm not really going for the guys I was going for. To be fair, I'm actually so happy just being in my own space right now. So men who end up with women who, like, yeah, they're attractive, but yeah, they're good in bed, like, they have fun, but, like, they're still out enjoying the company of some other woman, whether it's a friend or not. That woman's not keeping you on your toes.
Because games work on girls and girls like when guys play games, girls think that when they play games on guys that it works. But it actually doesn't. Guys don't care.
I will not get married and I will not have children unless I'm 100% sure about the person I'm with. And I've accepted and come to terms with the fact that if that doesn't happen for me, then that's fine. I'm sure it will. But if it doesn't, then that is fine.
Welcome to Unattainable. Glad to have you with us. I'm your host, Zach Evans. And first of all, thank you to all of our listeners. We've been getting a ton of growth and engagement over the last few weeks, and we got to thank you guys out there for that. Today, we got a special guest on the show. This is Sophie Stonehouse, one of the stars from Too Hot to Handle. And Sophie, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, what you do, where you're from, and your star sign.
Well, my name is Sophie Stonehouse. I featured on season 4 of Too Hot to Handle, and I'd kind of say that my job now is kind of in the creative, and I think that's a really funny, like, gray area of people that end up in, like, social media and influencing and stuff, like what they really should say that their job title is. So I always am like, I'm a content creator, but then I'm like, oh, I hate saying that, especially in the UK. Like, people hate that term. So yeah, I guess I'd say that I'm in that space. Like, I'm kind of driving towards, like, a more business and entrepreneurial, you know, wavelength. And yeah, and then my star sign is Pisces.
Oh, Pisces gang.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So are you Pisces?
Yeah, March 18th. Are you February or March?
No, I'm March.
Oh, you're one of the cool ones.
Yeah, I'm March. But nice. I hear negative things about Pisces men. Apparently, Pisces men are toxic.
Well, I used to be toxic. Back in my villain era. I'm a recovering fuckboy, yeah.
Okay, well, that's
recovering.
I mean, as long
now
as
I'm very shy and romantic.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, as long as it's in recovery. Yeah. Apparently, Pisces women and Pisces men are a great match. But if you're not a Pisces woman and then you're matched with a Pisces man, it can... I hear there's some friction. There's some negativity. I don't know what your personal experience is.
I think I'm a great match for everybody.
Okay, well, I'm sure. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. At least you're confident.
To be clear, back in my villain era, my fuckboy days.
Your villain era.
I was a professional fuckboy. I'm not like the amateur ones nowadays that have a bed that touches 2 walls like a poor person. It's like, get a nightstand. You not know the nightstand is. Who raised you, you know? Y'all date these guys that, like, post their fucking shirtless selfies from LA Fitness.
No, it's actually horrendous.
It's like, go to Equinox like a real fuckboy and take your shirtless selfies
I can't deal with people like that.
I don't know if I believe you on that.
Honestly, I actually can't. And I think I've really only seen the true extent of what a fuckboy is since I've been in this industry. Because I think you've got fuckboys, right? And then you've got fuckboys who have been on TV. It's
like the wannabe fuckboys and the real.
No, and the real ones generally are just... What, in my personal opinion, I think guys that end up on reality TV shows, especially dating shows, like, are genuinely, prior to the dating shows, like, losers. No offense, but they are. And then they go onto these shows and they, for some reason, think that they are, like, God's gift, dog's bollocks. Like, they've gone on a TV show for 10 minutes and they think they are the shit. And it's actually embarrassing the way that these guys act. Like, honestly, I mean, I've experienced it firsthand with people that have been on Too Hot to Handle, and not even my season. Like, my season was pretty bad for those, like, stereotypical arses, right? But even some of the other seasons, like, it's actually shocking to me.
Do you mean like watching the show, or are you saying
No,
that, like, DM'd you,
I'm talking aside from the show, the way people are on these things are just so manufactured and fake, in my personal opinion. But out of the show, when you think like, oh, you'll be hanging out as mates or whatever, the way these people act is horrendous.
Explain. What do you mean by
Okay,
that?
so I went on so recently there was a couple, I'm not going to name names, but there was a couple people that came from one of the seasons of Too Hot to Handle. They ended up in the UK. I have no idea how. Anyway, we ended up speaking, organising a night out. So I was like, yeah, cool. Like, it'd be nice to like get to know a couple more people from the show, because for me, being a Brit and being one of the only Brits on my season, I don't really have any of those connections like at home. Like, everyone's out here. So for me, I was like, okay, cool. Like, it'd be nice to get to know a couple of you guys. Honestly, these guys showed up, and it was like they walked into this bar like they were God's fucking gift. And I was just like, wow. Came with my flatmate and my sister, and all of these guys like were just snubbing them, like gave them no attention, like acting like they couldn't even speak to them. They would speaking to me, but they weren't speaking to my sister and my flatmate. And it was just like, do you actually think that you're that like above other people that you can't even have a conversation with people that aren't in your immediate circle? And I've had this so much, like I just actually can't stand people in the industry. Can't stand it.
Well, what happens is most guys will never have an experience of like, oh, girls are sliding into my DMs. Yeah. Right? But if you're a reality show star, it's like, holy shit, I have girls sliding into my DMs. Like, that never happens to guys. So if that does happen to guys, it's like the ego is just like, holy shit, I'm the fucking man.
It's just like insane. Like, on this specific night out that I was talking about, I went up to one of these guys from the UK and I said, whereabouts are you from? And he told me the area he was from. And it's not an area where stereotypically like you'd have content creators. Like, there's not much going on there. And I was like, oh, I live in Manchester. I was like, you should come to Manchester. Like, this is such a great place for people in the industry. There's so many other creatives. Yeah, so many more opportunities, so many creatives. It'd be great. And he was like, yeah, but I'm not an influencer. And I was like, well, you are though, babe. And he was like, well, no, I'm a personality.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not. You're an influencer. Like, that is literally what you do. You do like that. You're doing all the influencer shit. Like, that's what you're doing. And just to pretend that you are like even above that. Like, come on.
Well, it's bizarre to me because people don't realize how much their brains have been influenced by like them just being sheep and following what everybody says. Because it's like take the example of like fame and clout and all these things, right?
Yeah.
And people will say, oh, this person's actually famous because whatever, they're an actor in a Netflix show or something like that. This person, they have 1 million followers, but they're just an Instagram star.
It doesn't mean jack shit. I really don't think it does.
No, I actually kind of disagree.
Really?
Because, okay, there are people that are actors on some show or whatever that have less people who know who they are than some big YouTuber like Mr. Beast or something.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference, in my opinion. I think growing a social media following is a very difficult task. To grow and have an engaged following on any social platform and to have like built that from ground zero up, that is like work, and that's commendable. Like, I completely agree in that sense. And I have a lot of respect for people in the industry that have like built up. I think personally, influences people in the industry that go on a TV show and have this overnight fame situation, one, don't have a hugely engaged audience. Like, that's a fact. And two, it's like, you didn't really do anything. Like, I went on a TV show. That happened to me. I'm forever grateful for that experience. But when I compare myself, like, I've got friends in the industry that have like are in the micro influencer world, right? And they bust their asses to have gotten to where they are in terms of like growing that following. Whereas like people that go on a reality TV show with no prior following on social like really do jack shit. So it's like I don't understand the ego thing. It's like,
yeah, wait, you're agreeing with my point though. Kind of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the reason I'm feel this way is, okay, so I had a company in the modeling industry for like a decade.
Right.
Where we'd like run events for models, photographers, stuff like that. And there was like two sects in the modeling industry, where there's like the fashion model runway girls, right? And then there's like the kind of OnlyFans, Instagram influencer, like these kind of girls, right?
Got you.
And they didn't like each other. It was like oil and water, because the fashion models would have this air of, oh, we're the real models. You guys are the fake models. You're just an Instagram model. You're not a real model.
Got you.
But on the other side, the Instagram influencers were making money.
Well,
and
yeah.
all of these fashion models were broke. And all of them had sugar daddies or whatever. And like, no judgment, whatever. But it's kind of like, wait, like, just because somebody in a giant skyscraper who fucking works for Louis Vuitton said, this is the model, that's the real model, and these Instagram influencers, we're not going to choose you. We're going to choose you, and you're going to be on the runway, and we're going to tell everybody you're the real model. And yet you have 4,000 followers, and like people don't really know who you are, versus this person who like everybody thinks is super fucking hot. And yeah, she doesn't look like this typical like twig fashion model. It's like, okay, so who's the real model here? You know, I think either you have to say they're both models, or if anything, you would have to say the Instagram influencers is more of a real model.
I think it's hard. It's hard to compare, because although on paper technically it's the same thing, like it's so different. Being a model that is like signed with an agency that is going to castings and literally doing like editorial and all this stuff, that's like one side of things. Whereas being a social media influencer is like running your own business. Like you have to be on that 24/7. Like you have to prepare for a break. If you're going to have like 2-week holiday, like a model might, right? You have to prepare for that and make sure that your content is up and you've got things like in the backlog, you've got things ready to go. It's like a full-time job. And I think a lot of people think, oh, influencing is really easy. Like social media is really easy. Like whatever. It really is not easy. Like there's a lot of work that goes into this quick video and picture that people just swipe past, you know? So I think it's hard to compare the two models, because it is such a different job, but in the same realm, kind of.
And I'm a bit jaded maybe, because so I dated 2 girls who did OnlyFans, and I've dated a couple fashion models, right?
Got you.
Yo, the fashion models would wake up noon, fucking
Really?
be late to all their shoots, like be like not doing. I'm like, aren't you like, go? Here's a gig, like go get this gig, like go reach out to
And
this
just
person.
like there's no drive.
And like the OnlyFans girls, man, they were waking up, taking pictures. They were going out there, collaborating with people. It's like every day, boom, 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 and they're making money, and it was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And that's why in my head I'm like, man, y'all have this attitude like you're better than people. But like I've seen the inside, like I've seen past where it's like, yeah, you just have rich parents. So like you can live this life, I guess. But like, I don't know. I almost have more respect for the people who are hustling and like.
Oh, well, you have to. I mean, yeah, like there is a lot of hustle that goes into it, and I think you definitely do have to respect it. And this kind of like brings back to the point of having the egos of people that go on TV shows and then have overnight fame and just think that they are better than everyone else. And it's like, well, you've got someone that might have 200,000 followers on Instagram, which is not a huge amount, right? That have like spent 10 years working for that and building that. And then someone gets the same, if not more, overnight from, you know, going on a show and think that they are God's gift. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
That's just insane to me. But
I agree.
I just think that's insane. I hate that. Honestly, it boils my blood. I've met so many people in the industry. Truthfully, I've had such a horrendous experience with like people in the industry, meeting people. Everyone's a dick.
But then why don't you just date people outside the industry?
Well, I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't date people in the industry because
Gotcha.
everyone thinks that they are the shit.
They're hot shit, yeah.
And it's just like,
Chill, bro.
It's like, I'm not better than you. Like, I know I'm not. I've never thought that. I don't think I'm deserving of more than, you know, what everyone else is deserving of. And I don't think that comes down to a lack of like self-belief or, you know, whatever. Like, I believe in myself fully. Like, I back myself, but I'm not.
Still be humble.
Yeah, like, I just don't think that there's anything that I've done that warrants me being like better or compared or being told that you're better than this person. Like, I just don't feel that way at all. So when I'm around people who have had similar experiences to me that act in such a crazy way, I just, like, I can't deal with that.
You have good parents growing up?
Yeah,
I
for sure.
Yeah, you seem like you got your head on straight, you know?
100%. I had to grow up quite quickly, like at quite a young age.
In what way?
Well, my parents went through a pretty crappy divorce, and I think being the oldest of three and all of us being quite close, I think I took on the role of being a little bit of a parent quite early on, even to my own parents. I loved them, loved mum and dad, but I think, you know, your parents are people at the end of the day. And I think I kind of took on the role of being more mature. And I think from a young age, honestly, people have been like, you're way older. You seem a lot older than you are. And I think, I think I grew up in a privileged situation, and then my dad was an entrepreneur, and he, like, money constantly fluctuated. We either
up and down.
Like, we either had loads of money or we had none. There was like it was complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I think I know what it's like to have nice things, and I also know what it's like to have that taken away. So I think in that respect, like, I am quite humble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both my parents are lovely. They're a bit crazy at times. Very fucking different. But
well, it's interesting because when you were describing how, like, the guys who have had, like, the reality show success, when I was thinking of it, it reminds me of, like, most really attractive girls in LA. Because and I used to get so mad about this because I'm from Wisconsin. Most people in Wisconsin, even, like, attractive girls, are pretty humble, right?
Yeah.
And then you come to LA and everybody's hot shit. Everybody's, oh yeah, text you back, don't text you back, flaky, you know.
Yeah.
It used to really bother me. I used to get pissed about it. And then I realized, number one, it is what it is. And you just figure out, okay, well, girls are flaky, so you just invite, like, double the amount that you want to come, whatever. But also you realize, okay, if I was in that situation where from age, like, 18, I was being flown out on private jets and free Tulum trip and blah, 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 like, maybe I'll be like that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it excuses their behavior.
Yeah.
But it did help me kind of understand a little bit.
Well, I think
it is annoying still.
It's freaking annoying, but I think you're right. Everyone is different. Everyone has completely different upbringings. Like, I'm sure if I had an upbringing that was similar to, like, I can't speak for it. And honestly, when I came off the back of Too Hot to Handle, I felt the exact same as you. There was quite a lot of people from my season that I just felt were pricks. And especially after the launch period of the show, I was really upset. Like, I'm not really in contact with anybody from the show anymore because I felt that the way that the other cast members handled themselves throughout the promotion period of the show in London was just actually horrendous. Like, it was atrocious.
Like what? Like, give me an example.
So the whole cast, well, apart from two of them, flew over to London for a launch period that wasn't planned by Netflix. We just kind of decided that we all wanted to be in one place at one time, and London seemed like the right place. So the guys and the girls came. There was an Airbnb booked for the girls. There was an Airbnb booked for the boys. And we kind of, like, hung out, did nights out and stuff. And it was just freaking chaotic. Like, there was a couple people that had been on the show that were somewhat still involved, but, like, weren't really involved, but were probably, like, staying with one another for the purpose of the show coming out. So there was just a lot of drama, like a lot of drama. It just was like, it just wasn't cute. The behavior just was not nice. And we ended up doing a night out, and it was just very, like, everyone ended up arguing. The whole cast were arguing. People were demanding things from, like, the club promoters. Like, it was just not it was just not nice behavior at all. There was one couple in particular from the show who, it was quite obvious at the time that they were only pursuing things for the show to come out. Like it was very obvious. So both of them were kind of like fooling around behind the other person's back, but it was like kind of okay because they kind of were together and they kind of weren't together. So we would get fed all this shit as other cast members, as friends, right? Get fed all this information. And then like Chinese whispers start going on, and it was just so dramatic and ridiculous. I felt like I was in high school. And I had one situation with one girl who I don't speak to anymore, who I was quite close with on the show. And she was so incredibly rude to me that I just got up and left. And I've not really spoken to any of them since.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've always thought, because all these shows, Love Island, Fuckboy Island, all these shows, right? It seems fake from the standpoint of like, it'll be like day 2. And then somebody's like, yeah, I just feel like I have this connection I've never felt before. And I'm like, really?
No,
on day 2?
It's insane.
I'm like, it just feels so transparent to me. Just like, I'm very good at reading people. And it's like, nah, you're just trying to like stay on the show. You're just trying to stay as long as you can so you can get the most clout and the most followers.
It is hard. I would say if you've not been on a TV show, you go into it with an expectation of what you think it will be. And it's so different from that. It's so different.
In what way? Like,
because it's a production. At the end of the day, there's a time limit. There's a start date and an end date. And you've got a huge team, like production team in place. And the amount of money, like I can't remember the exact amount, but the budget for season 4 of Too Hot to Handle was absolutely insane. Like an eye-watering amount of money, like ridiculous, millions and millions and millions. Like I couldn't even believe the amount. It was ridiculous. But then once you're there, you go into it with an expectation, right? And then once you're there, you kind of understand why things are done the way that they're done, because it's a production at the end of the day. Like they need drama, they need shit to go on, they need storylines, they need characters, you know. And I think it is produced.
One of my friends kind of does like some of the recruiting for some of these shows.
Yeah.
And she told me, she's like, Zach, it's just like casting for a movie. They're like,
we
need the villain. We need the like shy girl who's going to get emotional. Yeah. We need the bad bitch. We need the nice guy. Okay, you're this guy. Like they're fitting you into roles
100%.
As if it was a real movie.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. Is it ever like the producers are like, we need you to do this? Or is it like they just kind of give more camera time to the people with the drama?
So they never force you to do anything. You're never forced into saying or doing anything that you do not want to do. So it's not scripted. So all the emotions and everything are real and raw. However, it's kind of tainted by the fact that, one, you want to stay. You want to be there.
Yeah.
You want screen time because you want to do well. Like, you've put your life on hold to be somewhere. You want to get the most out of the experience. Anyone that says that they don't go on a TV show for clout is lying. That's bullshit. Of course.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what? Like, how are people like, no,
I really
want to find love.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Shut up.
I agree.
Like, like, I didn't go on to find love. There's no, of course I didn't. I went on because I was like, okay, I've got a unique opportunity here to like end up in this industry, and then obviously if I meet someone on the way, then great, but that's not my
side benefit.
That's a side benefit for sure, and there's no guarantee you're going to meet anybody. So I think when you're there, you kind of within the first couple days understand what your role is, what your character is, what they want for you. And the reason why I say that is it all kind of started like when I first got there. You constantly had filming going on. There was a filming period of 4 weeks, and there's a total of 14 contestants. You start initially with 10, and then they bring in 2 bombshells, and they bring in another 2 bombshells. So in total 14. So they're constantly filming. Like, we were in this beautiful villa in Turks and Caicos. It was gorgeous. Pool literally on the beach. Like, it was gorgeous. We went in the pool once. We went in the sea once, like for 5 minutes. Like, you are working when you're there. You do not sit. It is filming constantly. You've got 2 different types of filming. So you're either filming in private, well, 3 types really. Filming in private with the cameras that are all kind of like already set up within the property, or you've got the production team in your face with these fat fuck off cameras, right? Whilst like, or with a one-on-one situation, or you're sat in confessionals, which is basically you know, when they cut to like the scenes where you're like talking about what's happening in like the present tense. So you're constantly filming. It's like, it's insane. So you kind of know how it's going when you know who's like being asked to do loads of things at one time.
So everybody sees, they keep bringing him back for the thing. Oh, wait, I got to step up my shit and be more drama.
Yeah, and that's literally what it's like. But they don't say this to you.
Yeah.
But you kind of catch on because you're like, why am I sat? And if you're not filming, you're not like sat on the beach drinking a mimosa and having a grand old time. You are sat in a bedroom with the rest of the team, with the rest of the cast that aren't filming, with a bag of snacks, and you're just talking. And you can't talk about anything that's happening on the show. So they use that time for you guys to talk about like your family, your friends, stuff that they wouldn't actually feature in the show. That's your time. And if you talk about what's going on in the show, then that is a no-no. They will like separate you from whoever you're speaking about. So I spent majority of my time when I wasn't filming sat in a bedroom with no windows. I felt like it was insane.
That does sound brutal.
It was so intense.
Interesting.
Like, we went through a big psych like assessment before going in. I was under the impression that was down to obviously them making sure that you're well and healthy, but also making sure that you kind of can handle what happens afterwards, because obviously there's hate, there's fame for some people, whatever. So I thought it was for that. Mm-hmm. Definitely was not for that. It was to see if you could survive the 4 weeks, because it was insane. Like it was Navy SEAL training. Like it was actually mental. I literally, when I got out of there, I was like, oh my God, thank God that's over. Don't get me wrong, the experience was incredible. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it tested me hugely. And when I left, I ended up speaking to the production team 24 hours before, and I was like, I'm done, I need to leave. I'm either going to like say I'm going to leave, or you need to kick me out, because I cannot do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's how it went. And then I left the day after. Yeah,
we had a couple of the Love Island people. They said it was kind of similar. They were like, yeah, it was like,
yeah, it is.
It's like, it's not like you're tired like, all the time.
Yeah, and it is similar. I mean, the TV industry is not huge. A lot of the people that work on shows like Too Hot to Handle will also work on Love Island. Mm-hmm. Like the production team that we had did all the UK Love Island, and it is the same. The benefit of Love Island in terms of the connections, in my personal opinion, is they've got a much longer time to get to know people, and also the production team are turning around episodes in 24 hours. So the way that is different to Too Hot to Handle is every 48 hours in the villa in Too Hot to Handle counts for 1 episode.
Oh, wow. Okay?
So if something's happened between you and I in episode 1, and it doesn't make sense for us to talk about that until have another conversation till episode 2, we will literally be separated for like 72 hours.
Interesting. Because you have to like, we need this conversation to happen. Not yet. We need it to happen now.
Yeah.
So we're going to wait.
So the conversations are real. The emotions are real. Like the premise of the show is actually real. A lot of people think it's like fully scripted. It isn't. Mm-hmm. It is actually people's real feelings mixed in with, I think, that competitiveness of wanting to do well, and also not wanting to just like be that.
And everybody's there to try to grow their following. To
of course. And no one wants to be the person that's in the corner of the room that doesn't get any, like no one wants that for themselves, of course. So I think there are real emotions predominantly, but I think you kind of are fighting with the fact that, is this person being genuine? Is the person I'm talking to like acting? I don't think you truly know. Mm-hmm. Unless you obviously end up fully in a relationship with the person that you're with. In that case, then of course they're being genuine, but I don't think you can fully gauge it. And you've got a mic on all the time. You've got a production team listening to you all the time.
Is it weird when you're one-on-one with a guy and you're like,
because you've got like 15 cameras in your face.
With you. They're just fucking some dude with a giant camera.
Like the biggest fuck off camera in your face, and it's insane. It is so insane. But you kind of at first it's a very bizarre experience. Like for me, I had never been in that environment before, never been in the TV, like nothing. So I did not know what to expect. And at first it was strange. I was like, do you mind?
Yeah.
Like it was weird. And obviously you're trying to have these like these deep conversations, and like especially when you have to kiss on camera.
Oh, that would be awkward.
When they're like, I think it'd be great if like you break a rule. That's the premise, like breaking the rules. And you've got like 15 people with fat fuck off cameras in your face, and you're about to like kiss this guy, and you know that your whole ass family are going to be watching this, and you're like, oh my God, I hope I don't look disgusting. It's a lot. It is a lot.
Were your parents weirded out by it at all?
I don't know if my dad watched it, but I made the decision when it came out to watch it with my best friend. And I was like, oh my God, Mum, Gracie, my sister. I was like, you guys should come and watch it. Thought this would be a great idea. And then we're watching it. I'm sat there. I'm like,
it's just
I really regret asking them to. It was so uncomfortable. It was so, because it's so cringe. And also the premise of the show is so sexualized that they really are like, they want you to emphasize like how horny you are and all this stuff. And they just want you to look like these like absolutely raged up sex pests. Which none of us really are. Like, you know, we're just...
Everybody's normal.
We're normal. And they're just like, tell us how horny you are. So I'm like, I don't know how many times I said the word horny on that show, but I'm watching it and I'm just like, oh God, this is just...
I could see that.
I'm like, that is really actually horrendous. I'd never say that in real life. So I'm just like... Oh my God. Can't. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Did you get, how's like dating changed since the show? Like, I'm sure you got a lot of dudes sliding in like, oh, I saw you on the show, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I kind of came off the back of the show and I had a pretty terrible experience on the show in terms of the relationship situation that happened. I ended up meeting someone who I don't think, when I first got there, I didn't really think that anyone was like particularly my type. I was a bit disappointed, truthfully, with the lineup. I didn't think there was anyone there that I could actually pursue something with seriously. And then the guy that I ended up kind of pursuing, we had a lot in common, so there was a lot of great conversation, and I think that kind of encouraged some feelings. And he ended up sacking me off for the most gorgeous girl you've ever seen in your life. Her name was Flavia, and she is beautiful. And I was like, do you know what? Actually, fair enough. Like
at least you didn't leave me for
I
an
was
ugly
like,
girl.
no, she was insane. She came in, and I was like, that is not, her ass is not normal. That is not okay. And she was just this little like pocket rocket from Peru actor, like stunning. And I was like, yeah, that's shit for me. Mm-hmm. But I think I came off the back of that a little bit butthurt by the situation, and I was a bit like, I'm so over guys, like I'm just so over it. So I ended up kind of falling into a relationship quite quickly afterwards.
Wait, wouldn't that be the opposite?
Well, no.
You're over guys.
No, I think so. I ended up meeting someone who was like really, really interested in me, and it kind of just happened, and I was like, do you know
like,
what?
This is so different from like this guy that's
and it was like
cold.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna kind of pursue this situation, and we ended up staying together for 2 years, and then broke up at the end of last year, early this year.
You broke up with him, I'm guessing?
Well, it was mutual. It was a mutual thing. Truthfully, it was. Like, it was...
what, you both woke up at 3 a.m. and spun in a circle 3 times and then said, like, oh, sorry?
It was something that had... It was such a complicated situation. And honestly, what happened is our communication just started to break down, and we were just not communicating well. And the relationship that I was in prior to Too Hot to Handle was like a 6-year relationship with a full-blown narcissist. Like, he was the biggest prick on the planet. Like, insane. Just the most insane person to have a first relationship, honestly. And I think for me, the minute my relationship, my recent one, started breaking down, I was like, no, this isn't happening. If we can't communicate, then this isn't happening. So we decided to part away. Never say never. I think that we could have like a future. We've just needed to like take some time. I needed to get my own place. I needed to move away. I needed to just,
space.
Yeah, space.
Well, what's your type? Let's do looks first, and then we'll do personality.
Okay, so I would say, based on like my dating history, my type is generally someone like, I like a pretty boy. which is quite embarrassing.
The kind of feminine.
I just like someone that's like really nice to look at, like in the face. Quite built. Like not something crazy, but I do like someone that like works out and takes care of themselves. Honestly, and I know this is such a cliche, but I would say I'm probably more attracted to personality than I am looks.
I think most girls are.
Like, if you've got a shit personality and a great face, like I can't date you. Like it's. So I think I do end up going for guys that have got like a bubbly personality, a bit of a lad, which is also quite embarrassing. The Brits will understand this term.
Means like a child?
No. Like, so the term lad, a little bit of a guy that just thinks he's kind of a guy that thinks he's the dog's bollocks.
Yeah,
like,
kind of cocky.
A little bit.
No, that's pretty honest. I think most girls are attracted to that.
I think so, but I think now, like, I think what I am looking for now is more serious, like someone that's just has their shit together. No, I don't need that anymore. Like, I just...
See, the problem is, what happens is people don't understand that there's a difference between what you like and what you're attracted to, right?
100%.
So, like, yeah, like, there's this guy who's cocky and blah, blah, blah. And maybe you don't like that because it's a fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And, oh, you think you're the shit and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then you're actually kind of attracted to it.
Well, yeah, it's annoying. 100%. I agree. But I think now I'm at a point where, you know, even in the time that I was single and have been, like, it's just, I'm not really going for the guys I was going for. Like, I've spent so much, to be fair, I'm actually so happy just being in my own space right now. I'm loving it. For the first time in my life, I'm actually enjoying
just being single.
Just being, yeah, and like not even being single, like not being feral single. Right? You know, when I broke up from my ex of 6 years, I went feral. That was not okay.
No, that's good. Everybody has to have their whole face.
No, it was actually horrendous. Just in the sense that I was just being so chaotic. Like I that was not me. That was not me. But it happened, and now I'm single. It's like I'm an adult. I'm doing my shit. Like I work. Like, do you know what I mean? I want more. I don't need that crap. So I'm just enjoying my bubble, my personal space. Don't touch my fucking shit. Like, I just, you know.
It's very confusing for guys because. So when I was growing up, my parents were very strict and religious, right? So I was like the nice guy, the little simp. You know, let me do this for you, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, this one girl, I would wake up. She was my first girlfriend. I would wake up every day. This is so cringe. At 6 a.m. and I would drive to the Walmart between our houses and I would get her flowers and a pack of the purple Skittles because that was like her favorite Skittles. And I would leave it on her doorstep with like a note. Every Monday.
That's so sweet. See, that's cute.
No.
No, yes, it is.
You say that.
No, that is adorable.
Girls say that, but then slowly you lose respect for that guy.
No, I disagree.
Okay.
But the way, my love language, the way I am in a relationship, my way of showing love is like acts of service. So I kind of take on the role of mum without intending to do it, but like I like to help people. Like, I'm a people pleaser. I want to help. I want to be able to, like, if you need anything, I want to be able to do it. And I'm a gift buyer. I spend way too much money on other people. Like, I literally don't see the money in my bank account. It's actually horrendous. I need to sort it out. I need to set some boundaries. I'm talking to my therapist about it. I need to set those boundaries. But for me, what I want acts of service from someone. I want them to want to do things for me. It doesn't have to be financial. Like, I don't care about that. That doesn't do fuck all for me. But like acts of service, like if I had a partner that went out and thought to do something like that, I'd love that.
See, here's what I struggle with for this. First of all, what happened to me in that relationship is after 3.5 years, she cheated on me, right?
Lovely.
And then I became a fuckboy.
Yep.
Raging fuckboy.
Fabulous.
And suddenly it was like girls weren't breaking up with me. They were like in love with me and I was the one breaking up with them.
Yeah.
And then what I see over and over is I see the guys who are so nice and always get them flowers. And the girls would be like, oh, we broke up. Oh, what happened? Yeah, you know, I just fell out of love. I don't know. We just lost the connection. And then all the guys that are like not doing that and being a fuckboy, is always the guy she's like even if he was an asshole and cheated or whatever, you can still tell that she was in love because she's so mad about it and she's like talking about it all the time. And I'm like, you're thinking about this dude constantly, but the nice guy is the guy who you broke up with, you know?
No, and I get that. I think it's a difficult one because that premise is correct. I think there has to be a really great sexual connection, like a fucking insane sexual connection between you and the partner for it to work out.
Maybe.
Like an insane sexual connection. You can be a nice, like, I think
it's more so if you're like tall, good looking, and rich. And funny. Then it's like maybe.
I mean, it helps.
But.
It does help.
And trust me, I wish I could just be a good little simp. I wish I could just run around with my simp friends, but fucking riding our bird scooters down the street together.
But
you know?
What? Okay.
But I'd be alone forever.
Yeah, but have you met someone? I don't know what your relationship situation is currently, but have you met someone that keeps you on your fucking toes? Like a woman who wants that from you, like wants that simp energy, but keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So you need that.
No, I don't want someone keeping me on my toes.
You need a woman that's like into you, that's like in love with you, besotted with you, like once you are the package for that person, right? They don't want anything else.
Yeah.
But they keep you on your toes though.
No, I don't need them keeping me on. I'll keep myself on my toes. I don't need that.
That's the difference. That's where the commitment comes in. That's what you need. So men who end up with women who like, yeah, they're attractive, that they're good in bed, like they have fun, but like they're still out, you know, enjoying the company of some other woman, whether it's a friend or not, who knows. That woman's not keeping you on your toes.
Okay, this is where girls get confused, right? Okay. So girls, because games work on girls and girls like when guys play games, girls think that when they play games on guys that it works, but it actually doesn't. Guys don't care. Well, here's what goes on in every guy's mind. There's a calculation that's happening in their subconscious behind the scenes, and they have like, this girl I'm talking to, this girl, not me, I only talk to one girl, I'm very shy and romantic, of course, but for all the other guys, they have one girl they're talking to, and they're doing a calculation. Okay, how hot is she? Maybe this girl's hotter, but she's not that into me. I might have to put more work in for this girl, and she still might not hook up with me, whatever. Versus this girl's maybe in between, but she's really into me. We're just doing this calculation, and so girls think, oh, I waited 4 hours to text them back, and then it worked. And I'm like, nah, you're just hot. You're just hot, and they would have texted you back anyway. You know what I mean?
That's fair. I think when you meet the person that you're meant to meet, though, it's different.
Maybe. Do you believe in true love?
Not really. Like, I don't think that. I think you can meet your person and then also have other people that could be that for you. Like, my best friend ended up dating a guy, or they're still together now, but they met each other 4 years ago, and I've never met a couple who are just so perfect for each other. The respect, like everything is there. The ideal relationship in my eyes, in terms of the way that they are with each other, and it isn't necessarily like this whole simp shit. It's just they just fucking respect each other, and I think that's really the difference. I think when you truly respect the person that you're with, that's where the shift is slightly different. I think it's hard. Like, dating's difficult, especially now with like social media and a lot of it just being all like face value, and there also being so many options and like everyone having access to just anyone and everyone anywhere. You know, it does make it hard. And I think it's important to remember, though, when you meet someone that you are really into, that you're not necessarily gonna meet, like, the grass isn't always greener. Everyone has their shit. Everyone has their issues. Like, you could be the most fucking unreal looking human being with millions in your bank account, but like, there's gonna be some fucking shit somewhere. And like, you just need to find someone that you're like happy with and can settle with. And I don't think this big long list of criteria is healthy or realistic.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. The thing that scares me about like marriage, for example, right, is when you ask people like, how did you know it was the person for you? How did you know you're ready to be married to this person? Blah, blah. It always feels like an answer that like ChatGPT made up, you know?
Yeah.
There was like, yeah, when you know, or like, Zach, when she's the one, you just know. And I'm like, that sounds made up. Like, it sounds like you're supposed to say that, and like society has told you to say that.
Yeah.
So like, part of me, because I have never felt like I was like in love with somebody in a way that's like, it's an emotion that's like above any other kind of emotion that I have. Like, yeah, I've like had girls that I like really like, we click, we connect, it's great times, whatever. But I've never felt this like, oh my God, like this girl is the angel fall from heaven and like all this shit that like people say. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm incapable of it because I just don't process emotions that strongly, or if everybody's just kind of full of shit and nobody really.
No, I think that like I felt that with my ex 100%.
Your most recent one?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I felt that it's just that things happened that just, there was just a shift and a change because of the circumstances. And I was like, okay, I just need to step back. But I definitely felt that way. Like, I definitely felt in that relationship, like, I loved him so much. I didn't give a fuck about any, like, nothing mattered. Like, he could, nothing, it didn't matter to me. Nothing mattered. Whereas like my relationship before that, it started that way, but I was like young and like besotted and obsessed, and then that went away quite quickly. Like, it was very different. It was kind of like, but he was just a prick, so I think I was just obsessed with like this guy that just didn't really want me, and then the minute he wanted me, I didn't actually want him anymore, and I was like, you can be gone with you, please.
I see.
But I think it's hard. Everyone loves differently. I think it has something to, I think a lot of it has to do with your parents' relationship, the relationships that you've been kind of conditioned to be around. I mean, my parents' relationship, they were married for 25 years, complete polar opposites. And growing up, they'd tell me stories about how they met, and I was like, oh, it's so lovely. But like, in hindsight, now I'm an adult, I'm like, it's not that nice. Like, they're so different. They met so quickly. They got engaged so quickly. Like, my mum saw a divorce. Like, I was born in the US. Parents are American originally. Grew up in the UK. My mum saw a divorce lawyer before we moved to the UK. That was in 2002. And you like just... And then you ended up in a huge divorce and all this crap. And I just think, like, for me, it's made me very hesitant about the future. Like, I will not get married and I will not have children unless I'm 100% sure about the person I'm with. And I've accepted and come to terms with the fact that if that doesn't happen for me, then that's fine. I'm sure it will, you know, but if it doesn't, then that is fine. And I look at my parents having had a divorce, and I'm fine. My brother's fine. My sister's fine. I feel bad for them. Like, I feel sad for them, you know? But then it also comes back to the fact that they did divorce one another, and then they have the struggles of being separated, like the struggles of dating people that will never have the love for us kids the way that they do. And there's so much shit. And it's like, would they have just been better off staying together and working through it? But I think people are conditioned to think that the grass is greener, you know, when in dating. And then like, once you're married, I think it gets to a certain point where you're like, yeah, but this isn't good for me anymore. And it's like, they think that there's going to be this greater love out there, which is not guaranteed at all.
That's why I think that connection and love is overrated. And
Yeah.
I always argue with people about this. And I think that money matters way more.
Interesting.
And the ability to live together with somebody, and like compatibility in that, in like the practical sense of life. Because like I cannot tell you how many people break up and the reason is, oh, we just lost a connection, or it's some nebulous reason. I outgrew him, or she blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait, but what's the reason? Like, this doesn't make sense, right? But I never hear people like, oh, we broke up because like he lost all his money, or like we broke up because like we can't, it's always like something like that. And that's why I think like people undervalue like oh, like if you marry a dude who like can't pay the bills, then you're like stressed all the fucking time, and then you're doing all the work, and then you feel resentment, and then you like fall out of love, but really it was just a practical situation.
Of course.
You know?
I think, you pin it down to, you can live with a flatmate, for example. Like you can house share with someone, right? It could be a friend, and then your best mates when you move in, and then 6 months later or a year down the line, you don't even fucking talk to each other anymore because you just couldn't stand being with them when you lived with that person. Like I have so many friends that's happened to, that they go into like living with a friend thinking it's going to be great, and then at the end of it they don't even speak anymore because it's such an uncomfortable situation. That's because compatibly they didn't work well in that living situation. And I think living with a partner truly does test whether you can. And I think honestly it comes down to being able to communicate in a healthy way and having respect for each other and being able to coexist. Because it does get to a point in a relationship where like you're not sleeping with each other all the time, and like real shit is going on, and it's like work and whatever, and you have to just be on the same page with that person. And if you're not, it's never going to work out. Like the ex that I had first time round, he did jack shit. I basically wiped his ass for him for 6 years.
That's crazy.
That's actually horrendous for me.
I hear these stories all the time. I'm like,
yeah, no.
Where are you all finding these dudes?
Bro.
Are you guys going under the bridge and fucking picking up homeless dudes in their box?
When I met this guy, I was so young. I was in school. And I think, honestly, I started dating him because he was in the popular group of guys. He was a couple years older. Like, the characteristics that I would look for now, I didn't even consider them when I started dating him. So you end up in these, like, juvenile relationships. Like, I think it's crazy that people can meet in high school and stay together. Like, that's insane to me. I mean, great for the people that can like actually do it, but that is insane. And honestly, I just was with him because like he was the pick of the group, and he just was actually horrendous. And I look back and I'm like, I didn't go to university because I wanted to be with him. I never went on a girls' holiday because all my friends would go, and I didn't want to, like, I had a boyfriend and all this stupid shit, and I look back and I'm just like, I just want to shake. I just feel sad for her because thank God I got out of that relationship. But I think it's just, you're just like a product of your environment. And at the time it was just,
Well, what happens is, so girls are, I think, the number one attraction thing for girls is status, I think. And what happens is a lot of times girls who are in high school, right, they're dating like the star quarterback or whatever the fuck. And then they get out of high school, they're still dating, and the girl's hot. And all of a sudden the star quarterback is like, what is he playing? Fucking pickup football? Like he's not going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, he's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And his status isn't up here like it used to be. But the girl's kind of stuck for a while because she's already connected to him. She already remembers when he had that status. But over time, girls kind of like slowly realize like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I hear this one phrase that girls say all the time. They'll be like, I just feel like I outgrew him.
Oh,
but it's funny because a lot of the girls I know, it's not like they like are making more money or like have a job or anything.
Yeah.
But they can just feel the status shift of like, oh shit, he's down here now. I'm up here,
I don't think you're wrong. I think that's probably quite accurate, really. I mean, probably that's what happened in my relationship, truthfully.
It sounds like it.
Well, yeah. And I think it is quite accurate. I think there's, it's hard. I think everyone has an idea of what they want in life. And even without realizing it, you're constantly, shifting pieces of the puzzle to get that. And if it's not aligning with you anymore, you have to sack that shit off.
Yeah.
It's hard though.
Is it, so you do OnlyFans. Does that make it hard dating wise? Are guys like, oh, I want you to stop, or?
No. So when I started my OnlyFans, I was with my ex when I started that, and he was all for it.
Okay.
He was like, and that was great. Like, I loved that because I felt even more empowered doing it. I felt differently about doing it then than I do now. Like when I was in a relationship and I was doing my OnlyFans with his support, I felt empowered. And then coming off the back of that and being single, I felt less that way because it feels more like transactional now, which I don't love. And I think, I think maybe that's probably one of the reasons I have taken a step back from dating, because I don't really want to even entertain like talking to people about that. And I think the culture of OnlyFans in the US is very different to what it's like in the UK. But like everyone out here has an OnlyFans.
It's normalized.
So normal. It's not in the UK. So I think the stigma of OnlyFans is a lot more apparent, at home, especially when it comes to content creating, because brands just don't want to work with you if you've got OnlyFans in the UK.
I see.
So I had to make a choice, really. I was with an agency. I was with a pretty big agency in the UK that works with like content creators and a lot of the reality stars off the back of TV shows. And I signed with them straight after I came off Too Hot to Handle. And then I was presented with the idea of doing OnlyFans, kind of toyed with it for a little bit, sat on it for about 4 months, I think. And then I came to the decision that I wanted to do it because I was making no money from content. I was like making no money through like social. And my agency really were just like hounding me on, we want you to be a fashion influencer. We want you to like make all these reels, like fashion reels. And that wasn't, as much as I love fashion, like I am not a fashion content creator. And knowing the industry as I know it now, if you want to do well in your sector, like you have to absolutely bust your ass. And what they wanted me to do, I was not passionate about. And I was like, I can't put 110% into like what you want me to do because I don't enjoy doing it. So I came to a point where I was like, okay, I need to make a choice. I decided I wanted to do OnlyFans and asked my agency if it was okay. And they were like, no, if you're going to do OnlyFans, then we can't work with you. And I was like, that's fine, I'm gonna leave then. So I sacked them off, and then I signed with an agency out here, and I've been doing that, and now my income is all OnlyFans. Some content creation stuff, but I think now that I'm making my money from OnlyFans, I can be more selective about the brands that I work with, which actually is more beneficial, because I think when you're in the early stages of growing on social, especially after a show, and brands are approaching you and if you've worked in a normal 9-to-5 before that, you'll generally take like anything that you're given, right? So you end up working with brands like fast fashion brands like Fashion Over and Shein, and I don't shop at either of those places, but they offered me the most money, so I'm obviously going to do it. Like I wasn't making money from anywhere else, so it's not like I could be selective about this stuff. And then I think the people that follow you are then kind of, they clue into this stuff, and it's just not authentic. The content that you're creating for these brands is not authentic. Your audience isn't engaged because, you're promoting clothes that you wouldn't wear. So I think now actually having my main source of income coming from OnlyFans has provided me the platform to be more selective about what I do put out on social and what brands I do work with. And they're only brands that I would actually shop at. So yeah, there's a benefit there in terms of that. But
yeah, I remember one of the girls I used to date, she was like, oh, can you come to my next shoot, because I don't know if it's gonna be sketchy, blah blah blah. And it was this 8-hour shoot. And wow. I went there, and like it wasn't too bad for me because I was just on my phone playing chess and shit, but she was like, I would watch her, it was literally clothes, put them on, boom, 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 boom. Take the 5 poses, take them off, next shirt. Yeah. Next thing. And it was just like, I'm like, is modeling fun?
No.
Modeling looks fucking boring to me. Like every time I go like to the store and I'm like, I hate shopping because you're like, I gotta like go out, like put the fucking shirt on. Oh, it doesn't fit me right. Let me get the other shirt. I think it's so fucking boring. And I'm like, all these girls want to be models. And I'm like, do you like being a model?
No.
Because it looks brutal to me.
It's so boring. I think the whole thing is so boring, and it's so inorganic, especially when it comes to influencing. Like if you're going out and getting content in the wild, like people say, content in the wild, when you go out and get a coffee, right?
Yeah.
But you're going out and getting a coffee at a certain place to get Instagram pictures. It's just, fuck off. I hate it. Honestly, I hate it. It's so...
yeah.
It's soul destroying, and it's just like, oh god, then I have to do this, and it's not fun. You're trying to make life seem so natural, and it's so unnatural and so filtered and so unrealistic, and it's just not cute.
Well, even like it's crazy to me. Like the whole LA scene is very much when people go out, they're going out to show people. It's literally high school again. It's like, hey, I got invited to this party. You guys can't get in, but look, I'm here. But I look at these people, I'm like, y'all aren't even having fun.
No, and people probably are there. They're probably there, and people aren't even speaking to them, and they feel shit about themselves. Like the amount of events that I have gone to, and I've come away from it feeling so shit because all the conversations are just so forced. People only give a shit about you once they know how many followers you've got on Instagram. And then if someone walks up to you in midst of a conversation and they've got more followers, then you are now unimportant. And it's just like growing up when you're in school and stuff, you make friends if you're personable and you like chat and whatever. Like I felt that I did quite well in school in terms of with my friends because I'm just chatty. So I've got a bubbly personality. So that kind of carried me. And I've always kind of been known through like family friends as like a nice person or just like chatty and a bit bubbly and kind of like whatever and outgoing. So that, like that's how I have been perceived my whole life. Having that personality trait means fuck all. It might do well in like a setting like this, like we're chatting or whatever, or like getting onto a show maybe. But then once you're in the room with people from the industry, no one gives doesn't fucking matter if you've got a good personality or not. People want to know how many followers you've got on Instagram and whether or not you're going to benefit them. And if you don't, then why are we even talking? And it's such a soul destroying experience. Just talk, just chat. Like we're here. It seems like a fun thing, or you're at a party and you're like hanging out. It's not fun. That shit is not fun.
It's crazy. So this girl I used to date, she's like, oh, can I have my birthday party like at the house? Like everybody wants to use their house for their birthday and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, for sure. She buys all these decorations, decorates the whole place. She buys like all this alcohol, all this food. She's like, Zach, I got 80 people on the party full. Like it's going to be like such a lit birthday, right?
Oh,
and she shows up, 9 p.m. is like the start time or whatever.
Yeah.
9 p.m. nobody's there. 10 p.m. two people walk in. And we're like, oh, well, people always come late. 11 p.m. like a total of like 9 people came.
No.
And it was pretty much dudes who wanted to fuck her, to be honest. Like it was like no girls. It was like pretty much all dudes. I'm like, yeah, you guys are trying to like fuck this girl, so you like came to her birthday for sure, And I felt really bad for her because she's crying and all this stuff, but also at the same time, and I told her this like a couple days later when she's kind of feeling better again. I told her, I'm like, look, I have seen you multiple times where you'll be at a party with your real friends having real fun, and then you get a text from a promoter, Soulja Boy is going to be at this party.
Oh my God, no.
And I'm like, Soulja Boy hasn't been relevant since 2006. And the promoter's probably lying to you to get you to come, and he's not even going to be there. Oh, sorry, didn't make it. And I would see her leave parties consistently. And I'm like, at some point, if you're leaving your real friends to try to get clout, people notice that. And then people don't consider you a real friend. And I just see it happen so often in LA.
I honestly think, one of the reasons why I didn't really care about losing the connections that I had made from the show was, I can count my close friends on my hand, and they're people that I know that like would drop anything to help me. I don't need more than that, like I've got loads of acquaintances, I've got loads of friends, but your true friends, you don't need loads of them. And I think actually the more you have, they're not, your buddies, like really close. And I think it is hard. I think everyone's in the same boat. This industry is built up of people that are trying to make it, right? Like grafting people, creative people that are trying to graft and, be successful. And it is a bit of a game, really. And I think a lot of the people that are in it are searching for clout or the next opportunity, and I think people that are lying about that are just it's so obvious,
Yeah, it is kind of sad because like every other state I've lived in, so like Wisconsin, I lived in Nashville for a while, right? It's like I had like my boys, and then there's like the group of girls we would always hang out with, right? And we're all friends. Like some people would hook up, some people would date, whatever, but like we're all like a group, right? And when I came to LA, I'm like, okay, let me recreate that, right? So I got my guy friends. Okay, we're good. And then like girls here, what would happen is they would kind of come into our group. They'd be in our group for, 2-3 months. And then they get sucked into, the TikTok scene. And then they get sucked into the mansion party scene. And then the celebrity scene. And maybe they come back to us for a couple months. And then they get sucked over here. And it's just like, it's so hard to find like ride or die like girlfriends here just because. And again, like to some extent, I don't blame them because like I've seen these girls' DMs where it's like they have these opportunities to go to the like meet this guy who's a billionaire that like, I have this business I want to start, he might invest, or like meet this celebrity in the music industry and I'm a singer. Like I get it, you know what I mean? But it's kind of sad that it's so difficult to have that in LA.
Honestly, I think that's probably one of the reasons why I couldn't live here. I mean, I might, but I just don't see myself fitting into that scene.
Yeah, you don't seem like you would.
Not really. Like, I just can't deal with the bullshit. I actually cannot deal with it. I understand, like, working your way up and, having to go to these things. But like, if I'm meant to be somewhere, I'll be somewhere. I'm a little bit of a believer of, like, what will be. And if things are meant to happen, then they will. Like, I just don't need to force that shit.
Do you believe in, like, manifestation?
100%.
Interesting.
Which I think a lot of people just like shit on, which is so fair, because I don't think until you've really experienced the benefit, I think manifestations, there's a gray area, right? In terms of you manifested this to happen, but I think that's pretty broad. In my personal opinion, I think if you've got a certain way of thinking, then the way that you perceive your own life will just fit into that mold if you think that way. That might not necessarily be like you have thought this and you've made that happen. But I think for me, I got to a point before Too Hot to Handle happened where I was like very stressed and I was like probably in the worst place I've been. And I got to a point where I was so stressed out that I was like I'm going to have a breakdown. I'm not going to even allow myself to be stressed. And I know that seems like a bizarre way of thinking about things, but I remember a load of stuff had happened and I was like, no, I'm actually going to have a breakdown. And I was like, I can't have a fucking breakdown. I was like, I'm just going to pretend that this shit isn't happening. And I know that's a very easy thing to say that you can do, but to actually do it is another thing. And I don't know how, but I was able to completely just push all this shit out. And ever since then, I've just had an extremely positive mindset. And I'm just like that way with all people. Like things with my family got really negative and they'd say this about me, that I'll never be negative about anything. Ever. Never. I'm just constantly like, everything's going to be fine. I was like, don't worry about it. If you've got people that love you and you're not going to end up like on the street by yourself with no family and friends that love you, like you will always be fine. Like whether you've got like, as long as you've got a roof over your head, like you will be fucking fine. Grow up.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset of like, if you live in America or probably Manchester, same thing, like your life isn't that bad. No, unless you're like a health issue, okay, maybe something I get it, but like your life isn't that bad. You know what I mean? Well, no,
and I think like you can look back at moments in your life that have been the worst, right? And you just feel so horrible. Like an awful breakup is a prime example, right? In that moment, you literally feel like your life is going to shit. It's not, obviously, but you feel that way in that moment. Or you've had some really bad news, you lose a job, or money's whatever it is, or someone gets poorly or whatever. You think everything is so fucking horrendous in that moment, and then life gets better and you're fine. And I think when you go through bad things, you realize how much you want to be in your just normal life. And I think I understand how lucky I am as a person, even prior to this show coming out, just like being able, like just having my mum, my dad, my siblings, like all being healthy, happy, educated. Like I'm a lucky human being. If like I don't end up being the most successful person on the planet, I'm lucky. Like I've got all my people, I'm happy, like nothing horrible's happening. And I just think it's very easy to be so negative about such trivial things. Stupid shit. Like you know, there are people all over the world going through some serious crap on a daily basis and awful things. And I'm sat here with all my family members, all my friends, educated, opportunities. Like, I've got absolutely nothing to be sad about. And I think that, you know, there are obviously things that happen on a day-to-day basis that are a bit shit and negative. Like, I'm not saying my life is perfect. It's definitely not perfect. But it's just, I'm not going to hyper-focus on the negative things and allow myself to be brought down by shit. And I think that's just a mindset thing that I've drilled into myself. Like, I love my mum to pieces. She's a very negative person. Super negative about just everything. And I'm like, no, we're just going to be positive, like, think positively. And I think for me, having that positive mindset has just meant that, you know, let's say I'm doing a month on OnlyFans, so it's just like a little bit less than the others, I'll just, you know, it's what it's just meant to happen right now. That's fine.
Yeah,
it'll pick up.
Girls always get mad at me for this, actually, because they always say I need to go to therapy or whatever before they block me or whatever, which is not my fault, by the way.
That's funny.
And I'm always like, what do I need therapy for? Like,
no, everyone needs therapy.
My mom squeezed me too high.
Everyone needs fucking therapy, bro.
Not guys. I don't
my god, are you joking? Everyone needs therapy.
No.
Yes, 100%. But therapy has.
I have a secret trick.
Right.
It works better than therapy. Works 100% of the time. It's never failed me.
Okay.
If I'm ever stressed or something like this, I don't know if it works for girls, but it works for guys. All you need is a mirror and about 30 seconds of your time. Find any mirror, bathroom mirror, bedroom mirror, right?
Right.
You look yourself deep in your own eyes, and you take your feelings and you stuff them deep down in your psyche where they belong, and then you man up and fix the problem.
I think that is a shit way of dealing with things.
I think it works. Like, people say that, but I'm like, it always works.
Well, it might do, but you're just hiding your problems and the things that you struggle with on a daily basis, and you're just not dealing with them. So they will eventually come out.
But to me, the only way to deal with things is to deal with them in the real world and not like.
But that's because that's the way that you've taught yourself to deal with them. That doesn't mean that's right.
So when I was little, right, my dad's very old school. I remember one day I was biking, right, I was 5 years old, fell off my bike, bruised my knee. I come home crying, Daddy, my knees hurt, wah, right? And I remember he looked at me and he goes, good thing you're tough. Just walks away. And he would always say that, good thing you're tough.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm so glad he taught me, like, hey, guess what? The world's hard.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to your rescue. Like, you have to figure out how to, like, fix the problem, you know?
Yeah.
And because of that, I feel like, okay, I could go to a therapist and maybe they make me feel better about a problem that still exists in my life. But at the end of the day, if you never fix the problem, no amount of, like, Band-Aid, a therapist telling you blah, blah, blah is going to help.
Well, I agree to an extent. However, my perception of therapy and my personal experience is I've never gone to a therapist that has just told me what I want to hear. I think there's so many different types of therapy, and I think you don't need to be a broken person and have gone through trauma to go to therapy, in my opinion. I think you're speaking with a professional person that understands, like, body language and signals and things that you're doing that you're completely unaware of, and can ultimately help you get to the root of a problem, but not necessarily a problem, but can allow you and help you with loads of fucking different shit. So when I say that everybody needs therapy or everybody could benefit from therapy, it's not because everybody needs to be diagnosed with something and they can't deal with their own problems. I believe that it allows you to look at things in a different way. So whatever way that you're dealing with your things right now, that's not wrong. You're not the way that you handle things is a product of being taught to be tough, which is an amazing thing to have been taught. Like, my dad was the exact same. Like, he was not wiping my ass, and he taught me the same thing. He was a bit harsh at times, you know. My brother will definitely say that, but you know, that he taught me great things, but at the same time, you know, there are things that I do in my life which are beneficial but also negative. And it's about being able to highlight the things that you're not so good at and trying to understand why you do them. Is it generational trauma that you've got from your parents? Is it something that has happened in your life that has caused you to be a certain way or do certain things? Like, I cannot set boundaries with people. I'm too nice. And I know that that's not trying to toot my own horn. It's just, I would rather, I generally will put other people's needs before my own, which is a beneficial thing to an extent, but it's not always beneficial to me.
And then you don't want the confrontation.
No, but it's more so that I end up doing things like, I'll support family financially, for example, because I care about them and I want the best for them. But then I end up putting myself in a position that's maybe not as great for me because I'm helping other people, because I don't know how to put myself first, which on paper to some people that, yeah, but you're really caring and you're just like helping and that's great. There's a reason why I'm doing that, and there's a reason why I can't not stop that. And it's about just figuring it out. Doesn't mean I have loads of issues. Doesn't mean I'm like depressed or whatever.
But don't you think the solution is still don't do that? Not like,
well, yeah, but it's
figure out
yes,
when I was little.
But it's about understanding why, because there is a reason.
But why does it matter if you know the reason why? If you change the action and.
But if you can't change the action, or you struggle with it and it's something that you're struggling with, then being able to speak to someone can help you in that way.
So here's a big reason that maybe I don't trust therapy is I was dating this girl, right? And she was going to therapy, and it was like a year later, she's still going to therapy, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to her about it one day, and she's like, oh, I can't remember the reason. My mom, put my sister's spelling test in the fridge instead of my spelling test, and I have trauma and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not a therapist. I have 0 therapy degree or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm really smart. So I was like, I can tell you 100% of the reason you have anxiety. I'm like, it's because you wake up, you put your vape in one hand and your phone in the other, and you fucking stare at TikTok 2 inches from your eyeballs and suck in nicotine like it's fucking oxygen for 4 hours every morning. I'm like, that's why you have anxiety. It's not because of the spelling testing, whatever. So a week goes by, and the next week she's like, Zach, my therapist wants you to come to our next session or whatever. And I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, wow.
So I go into this session, and her therapist starts telling me I'm the reason for her trauma and I'm a reason for her anxiety and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he's kind of like attacking me. And halfway through the therapy session, I realized, I was like, your therapist is trying to fuck you. That's what's going on. So I got pissed. I stormed out of the therapist's office, right? And she comes rubbing up. She's like, Zach, stop. I'm like, babe, your therapist is trying to fuck you. That's what's happening here. And she's like, first of all, he's not my therapist. He's my energy healer. And I was like, he's not even a real therapist. He's what this Walmart brand therapist. Like, what is even an energy healer? Like, you go to the top of the mountain, you get struck by lightning, now you're an energy healer. Like, how do you even, what is the qualifications?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's intense.
Yeah.
It's intense. You have to want to do it in order for it to be beneficial. That's not an ideal situation. For anyone that's listening that has a situation like that, don't go. You shouldn't have gone to that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So yeah, I don't trust therapists anymore.
It's hard. Like, I think everyone should try it. There's a company called BetterHelp, which is like you can basically do like online therapy. It's great. And you can like go and you can do a video therapy session with someone. And if you don't like the therapist you're with, you can just swap it. I think it's quite intense going to a therapist like in person.
No, I like intense. Yeah.
It's intense. But if you don't like that person, that's fucking awkward.
Yeah, it's only an hour though.
Yeah, but what if they're like, when are you coming to book your next session? You'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a lot. I think therapy is a lot. You have to want to be able to do it. You can't be forced into therapy. Like, therapy is not for you, babe. No. Yeah. You have to want to do it. But I think everyone can benefit from it, truly. Maybe.
I kind of want to do it just to like...
You should.
Try it out.
You should, like, because you do have issues.
What? I don't have issues.
Yeah, you do.
Nah.
Everyone does. Nah. Everyone does. Of course you do.
I mean, I have issues that I know about that I know how to solve, and I just have to solve them,
Yeah, but there's also... But it's not... Like, not all your issues need to be solved. They just need to be understood. You can't solve everything. And to be able to understand I think it's about, for me, therapy is about being able to understand myself completely and truly. And I like working with psychologists.
I thought you were going to say psychics.
No, not psychics. But I like working with psychologists, like people that truly understand behavior Have you ever read the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
No, but I know the general.
Read that
outline.
book. It's incredibly eye-opening, that book, because it just talks about the male brain and the female brain and how everything that we do on a daily basis is so fucking different, but it's about just understanding like individuals. There's also a podcast I watched where they had a guest on. I think his name is Jordan Peterson. I think he's like is he a psychiatrist or a
Yeah,
something like that. Incredible. He just understands mannerisms and how people are and just like the behaviors. One of the things he talks about, which is so interesting, is it's so easy to say to someone, like, you might go to the gym, like that might be a part, fitness and health might be a strict regime, like a part of your regime, right? And you might have someone that's close to you that's like complaining about their weight or complaining about like wanting to be healthy, and you're like, well, just go to the gym. And they just don't go to the gym. It's like so fucking hard to just like get yourself up and go to the gym. And you're like, yeah, but why can't you just get up and go to the gym? It's because that person can't admit humility, that they can't get themselves to the fucking gym. Like, the reason why they're not going is because they do not have it in them to get up and go. They don't have the drive to do it. And it's about understanding or like admitting humility as a human being to be able to go, yeah, I actually can't go to the gym. So instead, I'm going to start with something less.
Though. I think you're just lazy.
Yeah, but you are lazy. You are, but a lot of people won't admit that.
But so I had a roommate one time who like stopped paying rent, right? And he was like one of my best friends, and I was kind of like covering him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll get it. Sometimes he would pay half. He like was doing his best, right? But he wasn't doing shit. Like, he would like wake up. He's just one of these people, kind of play video games, and like he's just not on his shit, right? And then this happened for like 4 or 5 months, right? And our lease was coming up. Our lease was going to be up, and I would always tell him, hey, like, I can help you like set up your resume. Let me help you get a job, whatever. Oh yeah, for sure. And then be lazy again, right? Then the second I was like, hey, our lease is up. I'm going to be moving out in 2 months. All of a sudden, he was up early morning. He was fucking looking for jobs. He was trying.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't think people need someone to like be their cheerleader and like, hey, you got to do this. You can do it. No, you need someone to be like, get your fucking shit together.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, like fully. But I mean, you think about people that don't clean their room or don't make their bed, and they will leave their room in a shithole for weeks. Yeah, but that's a bad habit.
No, making your bed is pointless. It's a pointless endeavor.
Yeah, but it's just lazy not to. It's not pointless.
It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, but is it though?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like saying washing up your dish is a waste of time.
No, because that's cleanliness. That's like hygiene. That's like, you're going to get sick if you eat off a dirty plate.
I mean, right. So for someone who, this particular guy in this podcast spoke about how someone literally was so fucking lazy that they couldn't do the basics like clean their room.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So they said, well, can you clean it? And they were like, no. You have to like admit humility. No, I can't fucking clean it. So, okay, can you at least vacuum the floor? He said. And he was like, yeah, I'll vacuum the floor. So he went, took the vacuum. When he went to his next session, the guy was like, so did you vacuum the floor? And he was like, no, I got the vacuum to the door and then left it in the door and walked over the vacuum for 2 weeks because I was that lazy. And then he was like, okay, well, you need to like admit humility here. Like you can't even vacuum your floor. And I think, and then that process, like once you're able to like accept, you know what, yeah, I actually cannot do this. That's like when you start making progress as an individual. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll listen to him.
It's so interesting.
I feel like I've heard him before on like podcasts.
It completely changed the way I felt about therapy and all of that stuff, because I was like, if I the way I felt about it was like, if I could go back to school now and if it was worth me going back to school now, I'd definitely do that, because I'd love to be able to fully understand why people do things the way that they do. And then off the back of that, I decided to go into therapy. I went to therapy years ago when my parents got divorced, left it there, did it. It was like a traumatic time, did it there. Whereas now I'm like, actually, I would just really love to understand why I do certain things and why I am the way I am. and whether or not necessarily that they are, but whether or not the things that have happened in my life are like a product of the things that I do now. Like, it's just about truly understanding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that side of therapy is quite interesting, more than go in, have a diagnosis, or just like have someone tell you like how to fix your problems.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
I'll check it out.
I think you should.
All right, we are about out of time. One last question for you. We have a debate with me and my co-host, who is not currently with us.
Okay.
Is the green bubble a red flag? You meet a guy.
What the fuck is the green bubble?
He shoots you a text and the bubble's green. He has an Android phone.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
One more for me.
Yeah, 100%.
'Cause it's like, is this a scam?
But like why do you have an Android?
Yeah, like...
My dad has an Android.
Yeah, I have a couple friends with Android.
That's terrifying.
I know. You're like, is this a sociopath?
Well, no, actually, if you really think about it, that is probably correct. Like, realistically.
It's like
you went into the phone shop and you had choices.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose that. You chose that one thing that's completely uncompatible with... The only thing it is compatible with, like, if you have a Samsung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any hotel you go to, most fucking hotels, especially in Europe and the UK, have Samsung TVs.
Really?
Right. Samsung TVs.
Why?
Fuck knows. And hotels will put a setting on these stupid TVs that will give you access to like Netflix, and that's it. Crazy. Right? So say you want to watch something else. Mm-hmm. The only thing that you could do in that situation if you had a Samsung is you can AirPlay or like Screenplay your device. You can't do it off an iPhone. That's annoying. That's
annoying.
the only time that sometimes I'm like...
But then you have to also have like all your videos look like fucking World War II footage, you know?
Yeah, it's just not...
It's just not the vibe.
It's not... Also, you don't want to carry that around. You don't want people seeing that.
I know, it's embarrassing.
It really is.
And make sure you put a case on it to protect the floor, just in case you drop it, because we don't want to scratch the floor with that fucking brick. You know?
It is no Androids. if no, I actually wouldn't date someone with an Android.
Interesting. I wish he was here right now because he loves debating.
There's actually no way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Where can people find you? Any shout outs to Instagram, TikTok you want to give?
Yeah. So my Instagram is my name, Sophie Stonehouse, and my TikTok is Sophie Dean Stonehouse, which is my embarrassing middle name that my parents decided to give me. So you should all remember that. So yeah, just on there, and then stay tuned for my OFTV kind of preview that's going to come in the next couple months that I filmed yesterday. So yeah, that's about it.
All right. Sounds good. This has been fun. We'll have to do round 2 sometime.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening.